Hey, what's up? Christy One Love Fellowship for Followers of Christ. Um, I kind of just need to rant for a little while, and I don't know if I'm gonna post this or not, but come on, good boy. So, I'm really struggling right now. I don't want to be struggling, and I definitely don't want to admit that I'm struggling. Um, I kind of need to have a meltdown, but I can't afford to have one, you know? And it just sucks because I legitimately don't even remember the last time that I had a shoulder to cry on. And I don't want to be I don't like coming at people in moments of weakness, in moments of sadness, in moments of stress, in moments of even anger and frustration. Like when I'm feeling negative and negative things are piling up on me, that's when I don't want to burden others because they already have so much on them. And I know this because I'm always the person that they come to, because I welcome them with open arms, because I want to lighten the burdens of others, because I don't want them to have to feel how I feel all the time, which is constantly overwhelmed, constantly stressed out, constantly inadequate for the purpose that I have been sent here to achieve. Not that I'm actually inadequate, because I'm not, but given the circumstances that continue to be pressed upon me, you know, I don't have access to adequate resources and support to achieve what it is that I have been trying to achieve my whole entire life. And it's just really frustrating because literally more than anything, I just want to be a good person and I want to help others. And apparently, the powers that be think that we deserve punishment for that. Anyway, I was just sitting here thinking about how, I say that being a good person is a choice because I'm actively choosing it, and you can too. And I think that that is true to a certain extent, but I do feel like there's a deeper layer here, which means most people are somewhere in between. Most people are not so extreme on the good side, and they're also not so extreme on the bad side. But if there are people like me who feel, for whatever reason, this inclination towards what some would consider to be an extreme level of goodness, like purity, wanting to literally do everything right and never wanting to make a mistake and never wanting to break a rule and never wanting to hurt anyone and never wanting to cause any harm in any way, shape, or form, because we've been harmed and we know how it feels and we don't want to put anyone else through that. If anything, we want to contribute to putting an end to that. And that's what motivates us. That's why we are who we are. That's what drives us. And so it's just frustrating to come to terms with the fact that if we're like that, then that means that there are people who are the complete opposite of that. That, while granted, I'm good because I want to be good, there's also something in me that, like, can't fathom not. Like, I can't wrap my brain around not having a desire to strive for excellence, and not just excellence by, like, human standards, but, you know, moral not superior. I almost said superiority, because I think that's what people think about me, is they think that I feel morally superior. That's not the intention. I struggle a lot with what is truly morally correct versus what is, indoctrinated and told to us is morally correct. And it's because I genuinely want to be doing the capital R right thing in the eyes of Source, not in the eyes of humans who determine what they think Source is or should be, you know? But at the same time, it's not about being better than others. It's literally just about this almost obsessive need, this drive to get it right, to do what it is that I'm supposed to be doing, truly. Um, but that means that there are people who have that same level of sort of OCD towards wrongness. And it's like how I have a very visceral reaction to doing anything wrong, especially intentionally. Like if I know that I'm doing something I'm not supposed to be doing, my body reacts. It's not even just emotional or spiritual or energetic. Like I physically can become ill just from actively going against what I know is truly right and good and best. But that means that there are people who have that same reaction to doing what's right. Like the way I react to doing what's wrong is how their body would react to doing what's right, because they would be wired in the opposite manner to be almost narrow-mindedly focused on doing something that's wrong. And the sad thing is it seems like those are the people who are in charge, because in their love of wrongness and their aversion to rightness, they have been able to manipulate everything in their favor. And a lot of them convince everyone that they're truly good and righteous people with good intentions, and or that whatever good they're doing in the world outweighs whatever bad they're doing, and that's just how it is, and you just have to accept that. And it's really frustrating to me, because I see people getting outraged in comment sections just like I used to not that long ago even. I mean, I haven't forgotten where I've come from, even though I feel like I've aged a whole decade just in the last couple months in terms of like inner wisdom and understanding. But my thoughts just exited my brain. It went blank. I would have to play this back and watch it again to know what I was talking about so that I could catch that train of thought. All I'm saying is, oh, right, in comment sections, I see people getting so upset and attacking people and spewing negativity and hatred. Again, just like I did and hopefully will never do again, but we all have experienced times when our senses were arrested by something beyond us that was dark. It's not a good feeling. Not if you're not someone who invites that and enjoys it and desires it. It's not a good feeling. It's really not a good feeling to find yourself attracted to something, but then disgusted with yourself for being attracted to that thing. I understand that mentality. I haven't experienced it the exact same way that a lot of you experience it, because the things that I find myself attracted to that are disturbing are technically legal and mostly acceptable by the majority of mainstream society today. But I understand that some of the things that I find myself attracted to in terms of, I don't know, activities, dynamics, however you want to categorize things, but ideas, really, even concepts, fantasies. A lot of it goes back to abuse and conditioning, and it's like it's part of my trauma. It's not actually part of me. It's not part of who I truly am. I can remember a time processing images, and written stories about adult things. Okay, let's just say that. When I was a very small child, prior to my childhood abuser moving into the home with me. And granted, apparently I was abused long before that, I guess by my own grandfather. Again, I feel sure about that, because even though he confirmed it to me himself, you know, I don't have a memory of it happening. And there's a part of me that never wants to believe that he could have ever done that to me. But it makes a lot of things make sense now that I know that. But either way, prior to experiencing the things that I did experience, that I do remember, that definitely affected me, I can remember, processing things in a manner that was, I mean, you might not say it's appropriate, because is it ever appropriate for like a 6-year-old to be looking at Playboy magazines, But it's like at the time, I was getting a peek into the future in terms of what life would be like when I was in my ordained partnership. And so in my mind at the time, it's like I wasn't indulging in sin per se. This was just, I was a curious child. This was what was available to me. I was being educated, kind of like in the spirit. And I saw things that looked like something that I might enjoy with the right partner. And then I saw things that I thought, I don't understand how anyone would ever enjoy that. That's, but I was never thinking of it in terms of just doing those things for the sake of doing those things. And in my mind, the thought of any of it was disgusting outside of the context of being in that specific partnership. So I guess what I'm saying is the continued abuse, the prolonged abuse, the repetition of sexual abuse consistently throughout my life took something that was originally pretty sacred and wholesome, even if what some might call a little freaky. But I mean, I personally don't think there's anything wrong with being a quote unquote freak if you're doing it in the right context with the right, morals and values intact to anyway, again, I realize now that a lot of it has to do with abuse and it has to do with trauma, and that's why I would feel this mixture of I didn't know why I found it arousing or enticing or intriguing or whatever, but the fact that I did, like that my body had some sort of almost like a physiological reaction to such things, immediately disgusted me and caused me to hate myself, like there was something wrong with me. And I was never even attracted to children. So I can only imagine what someone who struggles with that goes through, particularly someone who struggles with that and doesn't act upon it because you don't justify it. You don't think that it's okay, It just hurts to know that there are people in the world who desire to do the wrong thing as strongly, equally as strongly, and with as much conviction as I desire to do the right thing. And even though the easy route is to hate them and to attack them and to say they're the problem, because in some situations and circumstances, they absolutely are, those who have just accepted that that's who you are and who you want to be and who you're going to continue to, be, even at the expense of everyone else. It's very frustrating to deal with. But at the same time, from like a psychological perspective, from a healer's perspective, from a teacher's perspective, my heart breaks for them. And I want to give them a hug as much as I feel like I need a hug right now, because as hard as it is to have this weight of goodness on me that I mean, not that I would want to shake it, because I genuinely want to be a good person, but at the same time, it's like, I don't even have the luxury of being average or mediocre in terms of like morals or values. Like I don't even have that luxury of being neutral, and just not doing, more harm. So as stressful as that is to deal with, as heavy as that is to carry, I can only imagine how much it must suck having to carry the opposite. And whoever you are, wherever you are, I just want you to know that my heart goes out to you. I hope that you make better choices because, excuse me, we really need to find balance, and we can't find that if we don't rein it in. But if you are struggling in that way, and especially if you're someone who recognizes it and is trying to correct, the course that you've found yourself on, I just want you to know that you are seen, you are heard, you are appreciated, you are loved. You're not alone. I think that we can get through this if we would just if we would just work together. If we would just accept the fact that we're the same in different ways. I don't know who this will help or if it'll help anyone at all, but I hope it helps someone today. Did I mention the part where I needed to get outdoors and do some things and it was 100 degrees and then I came to rest a little until it cooled off and then it started pouring down rain and storming, and it's been doing that ever since, and apparently it's going to do that for the next several days, which is frustrating because I need to do some things outdoors. So yeah, whoever's in charge of the weather, it would be great if you could help me out, with some mild weather, moderate temperatures, and no storms, no rain. Anyway, I don't know if this will help or if it'll help anyone at all, but I hope it helps someone today. Just remember, you are loved. You are forgiven. You can be saved. No matter who you are, no matter where you are, no matter what you've done, no matter what's been done to you. You can repent. You can repair. You can be redeemed. Much love.